You're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network. Unleash the geek in you.
Hello and welcome to the GeekCast Radio Network 2016 Year in Review. I am one of your hosts, TFG1 Mike. Joining me, as always, as he has for the past 7.5, next year is 8 years of the GCRN, Steve Megatron. Hello, sir.
Yo!
How are you?
Great!
Yeah, we need
That's
some
Tony the Tiger would say.
flakes over here.
So,
Yes.
flakes aside.
Yes, voices aside, which, well, Steve does voices, folks. I don't do any voices. I just sound like crap.
You missed it by that much.
Missed it by that much. I can, sort of mimic Don Adams, but... Alright, so this is the 2016 Year in Review. GCRN, we've had a lot of stuff. We'll have a lot of stuff here to talk about in this podcast episode about what the network has done and a few other things. It's the standard Year in Review thing that we've tried to do. I think the only time we have not done one of these was, 2013 or 2014. So
It was like year 4.
yeah, somewhere around year 4. We didn't do one. Timing and everything else. But we are here, and people might be wondering, well, why do you guys do this at the end of the year? Well, because even though it's technically not the end of our year, since our anniversary comes up June 1st, it's the end of every single year. So
It's the end of the fiscal year where everyone is like, the world's gonna end. Resolution time! Yay!
not my emperor. I'm sorry, that was on a... that was on a... oh, crap, I can't even talk. So, everybody knows Donald Trump is president-elect and everything else. And
Presidente.
yeah, El Presidente, salud. So, at one point, when I went on rippedapparel.com, at one of the daily designs for the shirts and whatever else that they make up, one of them was basically Emperor Palpatine, but it said, not my emperor. That was hilarious. And folks, I am actually still in California on vacation. I am at my buddy Doug Abel's house. He's doing, he does Talking About My Generation. He's off at work right now, and yeah, so I'm still out here on vacation on California time, and I said this before, and I'll say it again.
Man, I love being a turtle. No.
Funny guy.
Thought it was.
Yeah. Once Jen and I get to a point where I'm actually living out here in California, I cannot wait to be able to podcast from here in California, because it's 2:30 right now in the afternoon, whereas in the Eastern time zone, in the real world, in the real time zone, it's 5:30 at night. Most everyone knows, or you have known over the last 7.5, 8 years, that Steve and I, when we record, it's normally 10 o'clock Eastern time at night. So for me, if I'm out here, that's 7 p.m. I can have the whole rest of the night to do whatever the hell I want. Before we get into the year-end stuff, we got to talk about Christmas. How was your Christmas? What did you get? What did the wife and the kids get, and all that good stuff?
Kids got Legos, among other things. I got stuff I already knew I was getting. It was more so like new pair of shoes, new robe, because the dog ate the old one. And yes, I mean literally ate a hole in my previous one.
Oh, jeez.
So it looked rather funny as I'd walk around the house. My wife's like, "Hey,
Holy beagle!"
New one. Well, and my son had already told me what I was getting.
Oh.
So I already knew, and my wife's like, "You sure you don't want it?" I'm like, what the heck? I'll wait. So, yeah, it didn't really bother me all that much.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty good overall.
Cool. Yeah, I got Jen, got her a couple of the DC superhero girl action figures. I got her Batgirl and Harley, and Made her a couple of CDs and a few other things. And for some strange reason, Santa Claus skipped me this year. I don't know why. But anyway, I tell you one thing about staying with Doug out here. He's near San Diego, so Southern California. And I know we generally, harp on these people, even though we know several that love these certain products. But I gotta tell you, man, Apple TV is the best thing ever. You can say anything else you want about Apple when it comes to iPhones and iPods and iMacs, but the Apple TV is easily the coolest thing I have ever used. It's the easiest interface all I need now is just a regular, flat panel TV. I don't even need an actual smart TV. I'll just get an Apple TV and whatever else. But he said, "Oh, I'm sure you can sign in and you can have all your stuff streamed." I'm like, "All right, cool." I signed in with my Apple ID. All the stuff that I have, pretty much all the stuff that I have on my home computer is now I can access on that, and it's just amazing. So there's that. GCRN, we've had an interesting year 7. We had the content explosion earlier this month, which I still need to finish up, but that's due to technical difficulties and other things with the 25 Days of ToonCast Beyond Christmas. I think it was Scanner51 that said, "Well, now that you're not doing 25 days in a row, you can't call it that. You have to change the name to it." I'm like, okay, whatever. But yeah, between October and the time I flew out here to California in December, I recorded, edited, and got online almost 30 podcasts in 2 months.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a machine.
Rage Against or?
Do what?
Nothing. Bad name of a band. Just
use
it.
Yes.
Rage Against the Machine.
Oh. Right. Rage Against the. This is not guerrilla radio, folks. All right. So if you have never listened to one of our year-end shows before, please go back and do so to see how far we've come. Second of all, if you have, you'll know the format. We go through the thank yous for any interviews we got. We go through the new things that happened for us on the site and on the network in 2016. We then take a brief moment to highlight some celebrity deaths. We do not, spend too much time on that, but 2016 has been the year of suck when it comes to celebrity deaths. And I understand everyone has their time and all that, but
yeah, we'll get more into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. And then Steve and I are basically going to run through our top 5, top 10 things. Like, I've got my top 5 favorite albums from La La Land Records, the soundtrack company I do work for. And then we've got games and cartoons and TV shows and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what the format's going to be here. And kicking it off, I've got to thank the 6 interviewees that I had this past year in 2016. In February, I had 2. I had author, comic book author, artist, writer Ryan Ferrier. He does Dave 2, Daveocracy, coming up in January in 2017. He did Hot Damn. He actually, I think, is going to be working on an issue of the TMNT Universe comic series from IDW. So there's that. Also had the singing voice of Jem in the holograms for Jem, Jerica, Britta Phillips. Amy, Nicole, and I did that in February of this year. I then chatted with composer Michael McQuistion and Dr. Laura Danley in June of this year, the end of June. Michael McQuistion is 1/3 of Dynamic Music's partners. It's him, Christopher Carter, and Lolita Romanos. They have done all the DC stuff recently, Batman Return of the Cape Crusader, Killing Joke, all that kind of stuff. And you've known them from BTAS and Superman and Justice League and all that. So it was very interesting talking to him and her. Dr. Laura Danley is I'm not looking at this online, folks, so I'm gonna hope I don't screw it up. I believe she's the curator of the Griffith Observatory out here in California, and they put on it's a planetarium, so they put on a bunch of shows out there. I do have to make one little caveat to that interview, and I should have fixed it back then when I did that. I had said that she was the first ever doctor that we've talked to here on the GeekCast Radio Network. I should say she's the first ever astronomer, who has a doctorate, because after all, we've talked to psychologists to the superstars and superheroes, Dr. Andrea Letamendi with Brian Ward several times as well. So we've got 2 doctors on our side for GCRN. After that, I talked with Mike Quackenbush, the director of fun over there at Chikara Entertainment. They're a wrestling outfit, so that was tied in with Mayhem Mike's, with myself and Mike Dodd and Ryan, the Uneven Flow with GCRN and Twig. And then the final 2 interviews for this year. First one was MV Gerhard and Matt Verbois, the co-owners of La La Land Records. Talked to them about La La Land Records at San Diego Comic-Con this year and other releases that La La Land has had. And then the final interview I had was with Neil S. Bulk, returned to GCRN. Last time I talked to him was 2014, I believe. He is a album producer for La La Land Records is one of his clients, but that's mainly where I know him from, is his work at La La Land. He does do other work for other soundtrack companies, but him and Dan Goldwasser, Dan had worked on the Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 scores for La La Land, and they had both worked on the Ferris Bueller score for La La Land. So I want to thank everybody who took the time out to talk to me this year. Thank you so much, everybody. Not as many interviews in 2016. 2015, there was a lot. I remember there was a lot of interviews in 2015. Not as many this year, but hoping to get even more next year, because next year, folks, and we'll get to this down the line, but next year, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening next year. Oh, boy. So many anniversaries to cover.
So many different things going on next year.
Yeah.
And a lot of us were kind of preoccupied with various things this year, and next year we will as well. But
we'll talk about that kind of stuff at the end to kind of tease up and everything else. But what were some of the new site additions in 2016, sir?
Well, we had the second year of the Podcasters of Film Fantasy League.
Yep.
Which that was kind of Kevin's baby there.
Revolt, and
yep.
I think they had in the in-session film guys. They had the Simplistic Review guys. So DJ Valentine from Simplistic Reviews and a bunch of other people. Basically, what it is, folks, if you haven't looked at it or anything, think of fantasy baseball except for movies. That's what it is.
Pretty much.
Yep.
And so yeah, they had that going on. We had the top 50 video game countdown.
Yep.
Which was interesting.
Yep.
And then we had the GCRN Awards, which in this year I might skip.
I mean 2017?
Yeah. Yeah. More so due to timing issues and other things I'd like to get done.
Right.
And I'm going to be swamped, so I don't have the time to put into it this year.
Yeah.
So it may come back the following year, or it may be a fall thing.
Yeah.
This year, but it's going to be it's not going to be in the early part of 2017 for sure.
Yeah.
And we did another top 100, which just completed.
Top 100 animated characters. Yep, that is probably the most interesting out of all the top 100s we've done, as far as where everything fell and where the arguments came in. And
I haven't followed it, so I have no idea what's going on with it. So,
because I've been on vacation. And because I was doing all the pre-production for my own stuff to get ready so I wouldn't have to do any of it when I got out here to California, I had listened to about maybe a total of a half an hour split up between like the first 4 parts of it. I have not listened to everything I want to, but just when I say arguments and back and forth, I mean the comments on the website.
I mean, I've read a few of those.
Yeah.
Pertaining to some things, but I just kind of, left it alone for the most part.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's cool that it got as many comments and as much back and forth as it did. I mean, that's always willing to try out new things. And there may be a possibility of 2 different ones coming up next year.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say for what.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends.
Depends on timing, and it depends on where. One of them depends on timing for you and I personally, and it also depends on where we are in real life when it comes to things that we'll talk about at the end of the show here.
Yep. And then, of course, I revamped the website.
Yep. Looks great.
Which, yep, it works a lot better, a lot faster. Done a lot of tweaks to it. So yeah, there's been that. We've got the addition of the tag cloud on the sideline, so now we can kind of see.
Love the tag cloud.
Some of the different most used items that pop up between the different shows. The recent content's there. The kind of media roulette, which is like the different reviews, kind of shows up, and then we've got like the different tabbed areas for all the different podcasts. There will be some podcasts probably disappearing from this list come next year.
Yeah, there are going to be some shows that are on their way to retirement. Do we want to?
And some that may not make it past the first episode.
Wait, which ones won't make it past?
I'm moving a few of the shows that, due to other circumstances, like the Cyber Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay.
We recorded the first episode in March.
Yeah.
Future Imperfect, that's somewhere in the back end, although I don't think we've recorded an episode since around that time either.
Yeah.
Birdman and I. So I've moved those over to alteredgeek.com.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All things Transformers will be kind of syndicated over there.
Yeah.
AGU, I am going to be moving off the website.
Okay.
Which I made that announcement in the previous Altered Geek episode.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that yet.
So it's going to be on alteredgeek.com.
Right.
And I've gotten all the audio, so it plays finally, and all the comments over there and all that stuff set up. So it's going to function very much like geekcastradio.com.
Oh, very cool.
Different setup. It's actually one of the older themes I used for the website. I've just tweaked it a little bit differently.
Old school like the old school.
Yeah. Well, it was more so I had this file sitting around, and I was like, it would make a good theme for what I'm trying to do now. I also figured out some of the menu issues that weren't working on the previous version of the site, so that kind of worked out too. Although we've had like 3 versions of the site in the last 2 years, but I prefer the one that's already there. But so that's happened. Some of the number-ish of the shows, I don't have a complete number, only for the fact that they don't do like year-to-date in the back end.
Okay.
But I was able to tally some of the most downloaded shows at particular points during the year.
Okay, before you get to that, since you mentioned the things that are going to be moving and changing, I mentioned earlier about some shows that are going to be retiring next year. I'm hoping against hope. Again, it depends on time and everything else. My plan for 2017 when it comes to podcasting, folks, you're not going to get weekly shows. You're not going to get bi-weekly shows right off the bat. You're going to get some of that, but not with all the shows that I do. My plan starting in January when I get back home is to do as much pre-production on as many podcasts as I can. The big one next year that's going to finish up is the Powers of Grayskull series with myself and Optimus Solo. It has taken us, next year will be 5 years that podcast has been going on. It took us 5 years to get through Filmation, He-Man, and She-Ra. We just wrapped up She-Ra. We got to still put I think as of this recording, we still have to put the Christmas episode out, and we'll have to do the recap episode when I get home in January. But next summer, we're going to run episode 83 to whatever it is. I don't know. I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head, but Powers of Grayskull episode 83 is where we start the new adventures of He-Man. Oh, God. And the interesting thing about this is, folks, I am so jaded when it comes to the new adventures of He-Man because I was a 10-year-old at the time in 1990 when this show came out, and I thought, oh, hey, He-Man's back. It's going to be Filmation. Yay! Looked at it, and I'm like, what is this? This is not my He-Man. So
It was my He-Man.
Yeah. I have seen it. Optimus Solo has never seen that series, so it's going to be very, very interesting for people to be listening to that. So the New Adventures arc of Powers of Grayskull will run through summer of 2017, and then
Isn't there a movie that ties them together? That brings He-Man into the future?
You mean the 87 movie? The live action movie?
No, there's an animated movie
I,
that takes place between, and it's where He-Man and Skeletor end up in the future, and Skeletor meets Flog, who's the leader of the mutants in the future.
I think that might be part of New Adventures. I don't know. I haven't looked at it.
It is the New Adventures. I remember watching it.
Okay.
I had the VHS.
But it doesn't tie into Filmation at all.
Well, it has the original Skeletor from basically
I
Filmation.
I don't know. I have avoided everything New Adventures so vehemently because I got so scarred as, it's kind of like the old staple. Michael Bay ruined my childhood. Well, my He-Man childhood got ruined when I was an actual child with this show. But anyway, so New Adventures will happen in the summer of 2017, and then we will wrap up the Powers of Grayskull series through episode 125. When New Adventures ends in the winter of 2017, you guys will hear our reviews of the 2002. Is it Mike Young Productions? Yeah, Mike Young Productions, the Cartoon Network, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe series. So that's going to happen to close out next year. So we got that. The pull bag right now is on standby until I get home. It's still on hiatus. I don't know when I'm going to bring the pull bag back. Normally, I usually do a year-end, year-ahead kind of written blog thing on the site, and because I've been on vacation this Christmas, I just not doing it right now. I mean, come on, folks. I know Steve does a lot of work, and we'll talk about his work on the website and everything else here in a bit, but I spent 2 months putting 30 podcasts together. I think I deserve a vacation for once. Also, next year, I'm hoping against hope that TV's Mr. Neil and I can finish out and close out Pixels in the Animation. So that show will have been running, I think, for 4 or 5, 6 years, something like that. I think we started that in 2011, 2012. Might even have been 2010. I don't remember. No, I don't think it was that early. I think it was right after I started Tooncast Beyond in 2011. I don't remember. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to Pixels in the Animation next year as well. We got our next arc for that is Earthworm Jim, and then Steve, hopefully, if time allots, we will do the Donkey Kong Country episode, and then next year, Neil and I will kind of run through, quite literally, pun intended, folks, we will be running through Sonic, because next year is the 25th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Now you gotta get Jaleel White.
Get a speed, Keen. Oh God, I would love to get Urkel. That would get us so much.
Gotta get me a chili dog.
Did I do that? God.
Do that for when the website breaks.
Huh? Yeah, we could.
Take the audio.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's going on with Powers of Grayskull, Pixels in the Animation. The pull bag, as I said, is kind of on hiatus. I do want to get M-Wire back up and running, so we're going to get that going. I believe Doug and I would have already released the Mission Impossible episode 130 of M-Wire, or it'll be released after this once I get home. We're going to record it while I'm out here. But next year, M-Wire will make a comeback, and Tooncast Beyond, I believe Jen and I will be doing more of those and everything else. And my goal next year is to focus on not necessarily, and again, it's just a goal. I don't know if I'm going to actually reach it, but I want to get the flagship show, GeekCast Radio, going a little bit more. We still have Mayhem Mics and La La Lounge and everything else on there, but I want to get some actual GCR episodes done. I'm hoping to do some of the GCRN retro stuff as well. I just kind of, and you're going to, hoop and holler when I say this. I've always been the review show guy here at the network. And honestly, after completing half of the review shows that we've been working on for the past 5 or 6 years, I need a break and I want to do some other stuff. And, it's like, I'm so tired of review shows now. I still love them. I still want to do them, and we still have plans to do a bunch of them, but it's just one of those things where, 5 years of Masters of the Universe. Don't get me wrong. I've loved every minute of doing that show with Kevin, but it's taken us 5 years just through Filmation. Oh. So, but there's going to be a bunch of stuff coming next year, folks, and we hope everyone sticks around and listens to it and comments and everything else.
Nice.
So the numbers, what do we got for whatever numbers you got?
So, some of the most downloaded shows of the year, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Tooncast Beyond.
Really?
Had a really good month.
Wow.
Earlier this year with like 2,900 downloads of that particular month.
Cool.
This is according to Blog Talk. I have no idea what was played on our website because the files also play there.
Yeah.
I've got another method to kind of work in those numbers next year, but
cool.
And then the Pull Bag.
Oh boy.
Had an episode. Or a month or a particular release time where it had 8,500 downloads.
Wow.
In August.
That's awesome.
So I'm wondering if that was around the time we had that Ninja Turtle cover?
The Ninja...
Or maybe an interview that got sprinkled around?
In August, you said?
Yeah.
What was I doing in August of this year for Pull Bag? I honestly do not remember.
But, yeah. So... And then GCR had a 2,500 download month, and then...
That's surprising, since we... other than, like I said, other than La La Land Lounge and Mayhem Mike's, we haven't...
Well, it was like in March, so it must have been the top 50.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, that's... as much of the numbers as I'm going to get it into.
Awesome. What, I assume we're also going to start... going through the Celebrity Debt. We've lost a lot of people this year, folks. It's just...
Yeah, one yesterday, too, which we'll get into.
And one I just saw just before recording this, that they're in the hospital or something. Something about Debbie Reynolds. I just saw on Facebook.
Yeah, the lady that founded Dark Matter, too, died.
Wow.
Today. So...
Dang.
But, in order of death, as morbid as that is.
That's so wrong, dude.
I mean, I copied these from another website.
Right.
50sweb.com/ and this is like the worst website address it could possibly be. It's 50sweb.com/dead-people-2016.
Wow.
And I used the site last year, too, which is the only reason why it's still there. I was kind of like, that's a bit insensitive. It should say, like, I don't know, passed away or, no longer with us, people of 2016, not, like, double dead in a row with slashes. But, so we start out with David Bowie.
Yeah, that hit everybody really, really hard because he was an amazing musician. He was a real innovator when it came to his looks and his performances and
he made a weird video like before he passed, like he knew he was going.
Well, yeah, I actually just saw. Okay, so I think it was Time Life or TV Guide or one of these things. While I've been out here in California with Jen and her mom, my fiance and my future mother-in-law here, they showed something on TV, because I haven't actually, until I actually got out here to California, I haven't actually watched real TV in a year and a half, 2 years. But they had this special on there about highlighting the people that have passed in 2016 to the point of right before Christmas. And they had showed the thing about David Bowie, and they're like, yeah, he recorded this album, I forget what it's called off the top, I think it's called Black Star. I think that's what it is. He recorded this, didn't tell anybody about it, didn't promote it, didn't do anything, and then basically he passed away, and then the album was released. So that was, yeah, kind of...
And then we lost Alan Rickman.
Or Dr. Seaver, yeah. And the sad thing about that...
Severus Snape
from... Oh, no, not... You said Alan Rickman. I'm thinking of Alan Thicke. That's later.
Yeah, that's later. From Harry Potter and Hans Gruber and Die Hard.
Yep.
And then Abe Vigoda.
Yeah.
From he's done a lot of voice stuff too. But then Gary Shandling, Doris Roberts from Everybody Loves Raymond.
You know what the funny thing is about Gary Shandling is that
he was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, that's
Hail Hydra.
Yeah, that's And then at the end of Iron Man 3, I guess I am just a little prick. But, honestly, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is pretty much all I really remember him from at this point. I know It's the Gary Shandling Show and the Gary Shandling Show and everything else, but I was too young at the time when all that stuff came out. So I never really paid attention to it.
Well, I mean, I have certain people on here I didn't pay particular attention to, but I grabbed, the main names that...
Oh, no. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, for me, where I remember his name and seeing him was more so the Marvel movies than what he's really known for, which is the shows that he created.
And, of course, we lost Prince.
Yeah, that was...
Muhammad Ali.
Yep. Oh.
Gordie Howe.
Yep.
Anton Yelchin, probably the youngest of this group.
Star Trek, yeah.
Yep. And he was in that Terminator Salvation or whatever. Fourth Terminator movie. No, he played Salvation. He was Kyle Reese. Young Kyle Reese.
Oh, okay.
The one that had Christian Bale playing John Connor.
Yeah.
Then Gary Marshall, producer from Happy Days and a lot of those other shows. Kenny Baker, R2-D2.
R2, yep.
Gene Wilder, from a plethora of things among Willy Wonka. Florence Henderson from The Brady Bunch.
You know what's so funny? And I don't mean funny as in ha-ha, but irony funny. She just passed away, and I'm one of those people that I just have to watch certain things when I find them. So I have to watch all these, and I don't know what it is, folks, and I will probably never do any podcasts reviews on any of these things, but I'm a sucker for the Freeform, what used to be ABC Family, the channel Freeform, and Hallmark Channel, all these Christmas movie thingamajigs. I just saw a Christmas movie on Netflix called Naughty or Nice, or Naughty and Nice, or whatever it's called, that actually stars Maureen McCormick. And I'm like, oh, it's Marsha. And it took me until almost the end of the movie to realize she was the lead female character's mother. And I'm like, wow, she's gotten old.
Youngest one from that show has been in a lot of Christmas movies is like the weirdo type character.
Yeah.
Then we have John Glenn, first astronaut to orbit the Earth.
Yep.
Alan Thicke.
That was the one I was going to mention earlier when you said Alan Rickman. That guy, Alan Thicke, he worked almost to the day he died, because as soon as the news came of his passing, I saw him in everything. He had one of those like sitcom stars of the 80s retrospective things that was new and whatever else, and I'm like, wow, he just died. Dang.
He was on an episode of Fuller House.
Yep, he was on that too, and I'll talk about Fuller House later when we get to our TV countdown.
And then Carrie Fisher.
Yep, Princess Leia. May the Force be with you.
And she was actually in Rogue One.
Yeah.
They motion captured her and kind of reverse engineered her age, which was about as apparent as guy on the Death Star. Can't remember his name right now. Tarkin,
yeah.
He was very obvious that it wasn't that actor.
Yeah.
Between the CG and the voice, for having been set up to be just before A New Hope.
Right, yeah.
But, the Carrie Fisher one, I had an inkling that was going to happen based on the fact she had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And 2016 has been a dick to everyone.
Yeah, everybody has been saying, we've lost so many people this year, and don't get me wrong, folks. I heard someone say this somewhere that it's like, oh, it's so sad at whatever age that they are. But, how old do you know off the top of your head how old Carrie Fisher was when she passed?
60.
She was, okay, she lived 6 decades. She probably worked 4 decades out of those 6, because,
She was the third youngest that died.
wow.
Anton Yelchin is 27.
Yep.
Prince was 57 and Carrie Fisher 60. Everybody else is in they're
80s.
80s or 90s.
Yeah. That's just very, very sad. And the crazy thing about Carrie Fisher is
she just had a huge part in episode 8 of Star Wars. And they thankfully wrapped the movie already, so it begs to wonder how they're going to change the script for episode 9.
Yeah, it really does. Well, the crazy thing about her is, and I know not a lot of actors and actresses want to be done with it, done like this, but sometimes they are. They are typecast. And can you think of any other non-Star Wars thing that Carrie Fisher is in off the top of your head?
Blues Brothers, Drop Dead Fred.
Okay.
Sorority Row.
When Harry Met Sally. But for me, when people mention Carrie Fisher, it's always an inclusion of Star Wars and the character of Princess Leia. It's never not that. So I don't know. It's just, that one was kind of a shock because she had, the way the headlines read when that news story came out was Carrie Fisher suffers heart attack on plane from London. And I'm like, damn. So, before we move on really quick, to move away from the death things, you had mentioned about the pull bag having 8,500 downloads earlier this year. The only 2 episodes I can find on the website in August were the After Dark comic reactions with my buddy Jesse Raz and I, and then Joe Reed and I did the review for IDW's TMNT issues 59 and 60 in one podcast, So yeah, I'm not too sure about the rest of that stuff. All right, where are we going now, sir?
Well, you get to do your top 5 albums.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so normally I try to work in other things, but since most of my stuff this year has been the soundtracks from La La Land Records, I have got my 5 favorite albums that I have been listening to since they came out during the year for La La Land Records. Number 5 is Batman the Animated Series Volume 4. This completes La La Land Records releases for the first 65 episodes of Batman the Animated Series. Volume 1, 2, 3, and 4 is the first season of the show for all the music. And next year, folks, I'm only doing this here because I want to tie it into the music thing. Steve and I will be going through volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the La La Land Records and reviewing each of them on a special Legends of the Dark Knight episodes as well. So we'll be doing that next year at some point during 2017. Number 4 on my list is the Legends of Tomorrow Season 1 score from Blake Neely over at La La Land Records. I'm actually currently having Doug watch through Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, and for me, going back and rewatching it is like, oh my god, they've come so far from the first season. I love the first season of Legends, but I just forgot about half the awesome stuff that happened in Season 1, so we're going through and watching that, and every time I hear the music on the show, because I've already heard it on the score, it's like, wow, I just love this even more. Number 3 is the much anticipated, 30 years in the making, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now, I know some people are going to complain about this release because it doesn't have everything that the movie had, but that was more of a licensing deal. If you listen to my interview with MV Gerhard and Matt Verbois, or the other one with Neil S. Bulk and Dan Goldwasser, you'll hear them talk about the licensing a little bit and why some songs did not make it. But what I wanted out of this soundtrack was the film cues, was the hey bada, hey bada, hey bada, swing bada, that kind of stuff. And they gave almost everything to me that I wanted with that release. Absolutely love the Ferris score. Can't stop listening to it. Number 2 is kind of a tie because they kind of tie into each other. They released these separately. Originally, they were going to do a 2-disc set, but they released them because I guess the movie company, I guess Paramount, wanted 2 separate releases. Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. I can listen to the Beverly Hills Cop 2 score over and over and over and over and over again because I just love that music so much. I can listen to both of them over and over again, but 2 was absolutely amazing. And my number 1 choice, something I have been waiting for 15 years to happen on an actual soundtrack album, Justice League. This was the 4 CD set that La La Land Records put out around San Diego Comic-Con. This has, I think, 23 out of the 26 episodes of the first 2 seasons of Justice League. Amazing music from the Dynamic Music Partners. Absolutely love it. I cannot stop listening to it. The Star-Crossed music, the Star-Crossed episode music, the Comfort and Joy episode music, just everything about that score. Absolutely love it. So that's my top 5 La La Land Records soundtrack albums. Let's get to video games, because you got some games you want to talk about.
I only got 2, actually, but...
Well...
because I didn't really play all that many video games this year.
Well, you could have put Battlefield 4 on there, but it's not exactly new, is it?
Yeah, it didn't come out this year. It's been out for like 4 years. So, like, I mean, I'm really good at that game now, but almost annoyingly so. People don't like playing with me anymore. I play on this one server where it's called Metro Massacre, and aside from the title, it literally is a massacre, the entire level. I like to destroy the buildings and then put up traps everywhere, but that's because I'm a dick. So Telltale Games came out with a Batman game, which had a kind of cel-shaded style to it.
Right.
Different from the Arkham games, and kind of gives you the opportunity to play as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Cool.
With a kind of a new suit and kind of a new, you get a different voiceover, you get a different... They created a new villain for it and a new mythos, and you get some of the other stuff in there and some... It's kind of a unique perspective, and it's in a 5-episode part.
Right.
I have yet to play it, but it's everything I've seen on it looks interesting. I should have the... I actually do have a download for the first episode of it for free, which I need to do so that I can play it. And then, of course, Battlefield 1 came out, and this was one of those unique opportunities where I was able to play the alpha, the beta, and the release. And it turns out not everybody got the alpha. I wasn't one of the hardcore gamers that got it 2 weeks before the alpha people to play at EA when they, were doing the game thing to announce it and everything. But the trailer for it, for one, dominated Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Infinite Warfare, which went like space age with it.
Right.
And then, of course, we had the alpha come out in July, and I got to play this one level over and over and over and over and over, and you got about 12 days to play it. And I did fairly well on that, learned a lot of the stuff, learned a lot of the issues with the game, some of which are still present, unfortunately. But then the beta came out in August, which I had gotten before the rest of my family as well, and then they finally got the beta. And then there was you could get it 10 days before it came out by doing EA Access.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that as well, and then any progress you made in EA Access, you got to port over to the main game when you bought it.
Oh, sweet.
And then my dad actually bought it for me for Christmas, so but he bought it for me early, like in November.
Cool.
So I was able to get it and start playing it a little bit, which was kind of nice. So I've been playing that, and it's been actually really fun. Some of the new techniques and some of the new things in it make it better than Battlefield 4, and then some aspects don't. I will say I am a very good sniper.
Yes, yes, you are.
Well, I've gotten to the point
Stay
now
off
in that
those
game.
eBays.
What's that?
Stay off those eBays.
Yeah. So I've gotten to the point now where I can run around with a sniper, and I have just a base sniper rifle. I don't have anything special or unlocked. I just use a lot of the base stuff because I don't care. And whereas in Battlefield 4, I have like specific stuff, but I like the explosives in Battlefield 4. I do like that in Battlefield 1. I play with they have like this anti-tank grenades, dynamite, and then throwing bombs, and I like to load up with those. But when I'm not playing that class, I play a sniper, and I have trip wires that when they're tripped, light the person on fire.
Damn, dude.
So I'm pretty much guaranteed that if I drop them in random places in the map, somebody's going to hit them.
I would assume so, yeah.
I don't do them in doorways because people will just detonate them. If I put them in like the bushes somewhere, or if I put them in like hiding areas, people run them over, and then they just burn to a crisp, and then I get the points. But I've gotten to the point with the sniper rifle to end this diatribe here, where I can no-scope people. And I can pop somebody and then just keep going.
Run and gun, dude.
Which is interesting for a sniper rifle. I've not been that good at it, but I've been good at it since the beta came out. I've been able to do that, and it's been awesome. I play the best when I play with my family, though, but that's because we get in a squad together and we're just like destructive.
Yeah, those boys, they like blowing stuff up.
Yeah, my dad, my brothers, and then we've got like a couple other guys that are pretty good. So, but yeah, it's been a great game. So, moving on to top 10 TV shows.
Yeah, top 10 TV shows. Oh boy. So, before we start this, it's been a long time, folks, since I actually took a whole summer because everyone knows summer is reruns. There's nothing major going on the networks. I mean, yeah, we live in an age now where the, all the cable networks and things have new shows and things, but like the big networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, CW, Fox, that kind of stuff. I had spent all summer this year in 2016 finding shows that I had previously felt that I couldn't dedicate the time to. So, yeah, number 10 for me, I didn't want to put him this low, but I had to because I enjoy other shows more. It's getting better. Season 5 is better than Season 3 and 4, but number 10 for me is Arrow. I'm loving Arrow Season 5, but unless they keep up with the story that they're telling now, the previous 2 seasons have just kind of sucked for me. I spent about a week and a half marathoning every single episode of the first 7 seasons of NCIS LA at number 9. Absolutely love that show. Think of it this way, dude. It's LL Cool J and Robin, a.k.a. Chris O'Donnell, as naval cops, and it's just amazing. Love that show. It has yet to pick up on it. I think they're on like episode 10, but number 8 for me is Lethal Weapon. I know you're going to talk about Lethal in a little bit, but Lethal Weapon. I came into that not really having the usual thing of, oh, but that was a movie franchise. Why are they doing a TV show of it? And I know some people came into that like that, and I really dig the show. I dig moments of the show. I dig the character development that they're doing with it and trying to it. I do not associate Mel Gibson and Danny Glover with this version of Riggs and Murtaugh, played by Damon Wayans and Clay Crawford, or I forget what Riggs' actor's name is off the top of my head, because they're two separate things. And I just absolutely really enjoy that. Coming in at number 7 is Netflix's Luke Cage. I watched Luke Cage and Jessica Jones out of order. I don't know what it was. For me, and I've said this before on other podcasts, if I don't already know the character, it takes me a long time to want to discover the character on my own. And I'd heard of Jessica Jones, but I'd never really known anything that she had been in, or I don't remember any cartoons, or blah, 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 blah. I've never read any of the comics. But I knew Luke Cage from Spider-Man and His Amazing... Spider-Man Web Warriors, or whatever it's... Ultimate Spider-Man, whatever it's called, the current Disney XD show. Because I think he appeared in the earlier seasons of that when it was called Ultimate Spider-Man. And things like that. So I watched that, then I went back and watched Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones... If you people want a psychological trip and just complete emotional journey, watch Jessica Jones, folks. It's amazing. So that's my number 7 and 6. Number 5, I probably should have put Arrow at number 5 and put this at number 10, but number 5 is Girl Meets World. I have loved Girl Meets World since season 1, but as the story progresses for Maya and Riley, at this point in season 3, I'm more interested to see the reunion episodes when they bring back the classic Boy Meets World characters, because some of the lessons in some of the episodes in season 3 for Riley and Maya, I still enjoy the show, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know where they're going to be taking these characters, and I've heard rumors that season 3 might be the last season. The one highlight for me so far, to the point of their It's a Christmas Maya episode, which is the final episode of this year before they come back in January in 2017. My favorite episode of season 3 for Girl Meets World was Girl Meets I Do. This is where Sean and Katie Hart is Maya's mother, they fall in love and get married. So I'm very happy, finally, after all these years, seeing Sean Hunter as a character played by Ryder Strong actually get a happy ending. So I absolutely love that. Number 4 is a new show for this year, the 2016-2017 television series season from ABC of all places. It's called Notorious. It features Piper Perabo. People would remember her. She was Karen Sympathy in Rocky and Bullwinkle. She was the star in Coyote Ugly. She was in Covert Affairs on USA Network. She plays news producer Julia George, and it's basically a news-type program thing, like a behind-the-scenes. Think of, if anyone's ever watched HBO's The Newsroom, think of that, but it's more broadcast media style. It's not HBO grit. But I am enjoying that. Number 3, 2, and 1 are all the superhero stuff that I absolutely love. Number 3 is Supergirl. Really digging Supergirl this year. Season 2, they started off with, the first 2 or 3 episodes with Superman, introduced him, and I remember everyone at the time, is this going to turn into a Superman show and take a... No, they're not going to do that. Supergirl is now at the CW. It's now a full Greg Berlanti show, and they're going to, do everything they can. They're not going to screw it up like CBS might have. The Flash keeps getting better and better at number 2. That whole crossover for Invasion between the 4 shows was just epic and awesome, and I'm really, really digging The Flash. I do think The Flash really overall is the best one, but my number 1 has to be Legends of Tomorrow, because Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 has added so much to the CW superhero stuff, and they've tied everything in so nicely. From rewatching season 1 to going and watching the season 2 episodes, I just absolutely love it. And I have to give a shout out to the CW for their Superhero Fight Club 2.0. That was awesome. I absolutely love that little thing. I love when they do little things like that for the superhero shows. What about you for TV, sir?
Well, for myself, I have number 10 is Big Bang Theory. I think I've gotten... Well, I should probably go through my honorable mentions first. I have Supernatural, Girl Meets World, and Practical Jokers. Whose Line Is It Anyway? And Kevin Can Wait. Mm-hmm. Kevin Can Wait's new for this season. It's actually pretty good. Okay. Very much King of Queens-esque.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. But I put the rest of them in there because I enjoy them, but they're not like
your favorites.
My top 10 worthy shows this year. Yeah. So I started off with Big Bang Theory. I enjoy the show. I like that they're all evolving and they're becoming more normal, and but I see the legs on this getting ready to fall out.
Yeah,
and being done with Wolowitz having a child.
Yeah, the baby.
So I see the show not really. I think that it probably should wrap up.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion there. And then I have SNL.
Well, before you get to I remember season 9, the end of season 9, and how that ended and everything else. But I have, other than like the first 2 or 3 episodes, I just have not watched Big Bang. I need to catch up on it. But okay, number 9, SNL.
Because a lot of the comedy over the last couple of years has been pretty good. And then I've enjoyed some of the stabs at people that they've taken on certain things. Doesn't even necessarily have to be political, just various just that was funny. I thought I heard Hillary over that line.
Hey.
So hey, it was a funny joke. So the so the show has had a lot of good guests. I especially like the one with. I mean, there have been a lot this season, but one of them that was pretty fun that I just watched recently was the Tom Hanks one.
Right.
David Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious, and then Casey Affleck actually had a good skit with Dunkin' Donuts on this past week.
Yeah, I gotta catch the Casey Affleck one. I tried. I'm a wrestling fan. I know you're not. Obviously, Mike Dodd and I and Ryan do the wrestling.
You saw the one with John Cena?
I tried watching the one with John Cena. I got like 5 minutes into it, and I had to watch something else. Not that I don't like John doing that kind of stuff.
Well, you can watch it on NBC's website.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the whole Hulu thing and whatever else on Doug's Apple TV, so that he's got Hulu out here anyway. So yeah.
That one was pretty fun too, but I think the Casey Affleck one was a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch the Casey Affleck one, seeing I'm a Boston boy.
But the Dunkin' Donuts joke where he's doing the Boston, signature accent and acting like he owns the place was pretty funny. And then, of course, I've got Pure Genius, which is a new show this year.
I've seen that advertised. What is that?
It's about a billionaire that sold some apps. Very, very intelligent programmer. Founded this hospital, and in order to save people because he believes he has this incurable disease. And so their whole thing is about hope and about overcoming, the various odds. And you have this doctor that's all about that and about trying whatever thing it may be, even if it's experimental, to try and save people. And so he gets basically booted out of modern medicine, and they pick him up at this hospital and make him the head doctor of everybody else. And so basically they come up with random ideas, whether it's using tech or artificial things or whatever, to try and save people the most absurd way. It's not like realistic, like watching like almost an ER or something like that, but it's I enjoy it because there's not a lot of, there are ups and downs in the episodes, but for the most part, like, it's pretty formulaic in the sense that they don't, their story progresses between the characters, but nothing really bad happens to the patients.
Right.
So it's kind of an uplifting show in a sense, and you've got various people of all different ethnicities, which makes it work really well. And it's interesting. And like I said, the CEO of the company is like, I can't let these people die. And so he's just like telling people all these things, and the doctors are like, you can't say things like that. You can't give people false hope. And then he's just like, well, we're going to do it. And then, they find some miraculous way of figuring it out. But it's been pretty interesting so far. And then, of course, I have Gotham.
I can't. I know you're going to talk about that, but I just could not put that on my list this year. It's so up and down for season 3.
It's up and down, and I've had fun with it, and I'll see where they go by the end of the season. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. But if it goes down, I'll quit watching. If it stays, I've heard rumors that the Joker's going to show up. The young actor that they killed off earlier on and are, reviving miraculously.
Yes.
So, we'll see. I have hopes for the show, but not high hopes. So we'll see what goes on. And then I have Arrow. I have enjoyed this season better than I have in the last 2 seasons.
Right.
So therefore, I have higher hopes in that sense of this show than I did in season 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And plus, like you said, the invasion thing kind of helps.
Well, okay, so let's talk about this.
And then some of the Flashpoint. Well, we'll get into it when I get towards my number 1 about the invasion.
Well, no, I just want to talk about invasion concerning Arrow. They planned this so perfectly. They start season 5. They work up to Arrow's 100th episode and make that part 3 of Invasion. And they do all this, stuff where they bring almost everybody back. And it's just such a nice way to have because think about it this way. Arrow's been on air for 5 years, and most television shows, usually around the 5-year mark, is when you hit your 100th episode of a television show. And I think they just pulled that off so well. But continue.
But, yeah, so the show's done really well, and they've got a nice little twist coming over from The Flash on... which The Flash has heavily influenced the show, which is actually kind of helpful this season.
Yep.
And when it comes back from mid-season, there's going to be another effect from last season of The Flash coming back into play. So that should be interesting. And then we have Last Man Standing. Love the crap and the jokes that they get away with on the show. I cannot say anything other than that. For risk of... so yeah,
we're an explicit network.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't want to enter that territory. He talks politics, and then he talks about the millennial view on being politically correct, and I happen to be very
politically incorrect. Yes.
Well, I'm not saying I enjoy being politically incorrect. I enjoy that he can say what he wants to say and being politically incorrect. Basically, I don't feel like everybody should have to play the PC card to say what they want to say.
Right.
Because people can't just take it for what it is and act like they have to be offended for everything.
Right, yeah.
So, in that sense, I agree with him. So, yeah, I'm going to leave that where that's at, but I enjoy the show. Then I have Legends of Tomorrow. I really like the show, however... I'm waiting to see what this Legion of Doom thing is going to play out, and I'm also waiting to see what they're going to do with Rip Hunter because it's been way too long since he's been in the show.
He's stuck in 1987.
Yeah. He's shooting He-Man.
Stop! Don't even go there!
It looked like he was shooting Masters of the Universe when he...
oh my god, yeah.
When he was closing it off because of the... But it was actually supposed to be like the story of him...
Yeah.
Ending up in some timeline being shot at.
Yeah.
Either that or he's doing like Free Jack or something like that, or
yeah,
doing one of those movies. They'll figure some way around it. But and then I have Lethal Weapon for my number 3.
Okay, talk about this for a little bit because you haven't had a chance to really talk in depth on this.
I really enjoy this show. I think it's really well written. I love the actors that play in the parts. Damon Wayans is easily one of the draws for me, but the other actor,
the Riggs character,
yeah, plays it really well, and it gives almost a different touch that Mel Gibson didn't give,
right?
Because he's not just manic, but he's got this kind of sly, whatever,
yeah,
whereas Mel Gibson's was almost crazed,
yep.
So in this sense, I like this version better.
The one episode that really freaked me out was the episode where they were walking, or it ends with them with the beers on the roof when he was walking on the roof of the building. Oh, that's the only negative thing I'll say about that show. But go ahead.
Well, you got to figure that Damon Wayans did jump out the window that episode.
That's true.
And land in a pool.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I really enjoy that show. It's been one of my favorite news shows that I've been watching. Then we have Supergirl, which has upped its game this season, and between the Superman, between the Invasion, between, just everything, it's just gotten better. And then there's still another crossover with the Flash, which, speaking of, is my number one. Again.
Yeah, I think the crossover with Flash is going to be the musical crossover, because the two of them used to be on Glee.
I wonder if it's going to be Mitsiplex or whatever that...
Oh, Mizjespidlik, yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if that's going to be... Because that one's going to show up in Supergirl, so I wonder if that's how the Flash is going to get shanghaied. Because I think that's basically like a trickster for...
Yeah. Mizjespidlik, he's a character from the Fifth Dimension. And his goal generally is he comes to Earth because he wants to challenge Superman to a game of wits and that kind of thing. That's generally how his character has been portrayed, in comics and in media and things like that. I don't know if they're going to do it like they did in Lois and Clark or Smallville, where he's an actual human. Like, I think it was it Smallville, Lois and Clark? I'm trying to think which one it was. One of the two shows had him in there, but it was Wheezy and George. It was the Jeffersons working as the character. Oh no, it wasn't. It was Howie Mandel. That was a different episode. Let's say Howie Mandel came in Lois and Clark and was Mizjespidlik, and it was interesting and fun, but really, for Supergirl, I hope they CG it up and get Gilbert Gottfried to return to do the voice, because he did the character in Superman the Animated Series, and it was hilarious. Absolutely loved it.
So, yeah, so I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. In The Flash, I've enjoyed that, and some of the random twists that have come from his Flashpoint experiment, and then where they're going to take it from there. Although they keep making the main bad a speedster, but that's really about the only way they could go with this show.
Yeah,
the
speed god. I'm just glad at this point, at the end of Invasion, we got over the whole Cisco is pissed at him thing. I'm glad.
Yeah, because everybody did the same thing as Barry. Everybody screwed up the timeline.
Yeah, I'm glad they resolved all that crap now. Because if we were going to go through the whole season with Cisco being pissed at him, I would have been mad.
Because Cisco is the reason why Barry was being hunted in the first place.
Yep.
And then you had Stein, of course, creating his own in a previous episode of Legends. So they're all like, "Oh crap, we altered the timeline," and
yep.
Pray that I don't alter it any further. That was fun. So yeah, that's my top 10.
All right. Now we're gonna talk about cartoons. This was hard for me because I'm sitting here making the TV shows is easy for me to make a list. The movies are easy for me to make a list because I only make a list of the movies I actually saw. The cartoons, same thing. I only came up with 4. I could not come up with a 5th cartoon. So. Number 4, Transformers Rid. It's slowly getting better season by season. I think now that they've added Starscream into this season 2.5 or whatever it is, especially that Steve Bloom is doing the voice still, absolutely awesome. Love Rid. Turtles is slowly, not slowly in a bad way, but just slowly building their story. They've already been to space and everything else, and I just love how they are taking their time to work through every inch of the Turtles mythos that has been over the last 30 plus years. Number 2, Milo Murphy's Law. This is a new series on Disney XD starring your favorite Weird Al Yankovic. And this is actually from the creators of Phineas and Ferb, Dan Povenmire and Jeff Swampy Marsh. I'm loving this show. It's so fun. And we'll have a special Tooncast Beyond podcast organization, a cool acronym crossover episode at some point talking about Milo Murphy. My number one ended this year. It either, I think it got canceled or they decided to end it, I'm not sure, but the 7D. I still love the 7D from Tom Ruger and all those guys, and just absolutely awesome. What about you for cartoons? What have you been watching this year for cartoons?
I watched the Milo Murphy episodes, first 2, which again I'll rewatch before we review.
Yeah,
but TMNT, I just caught up on that. Super Shredder.
Yep.
Waiting to see what they're going to do next season with that whole storyline. And then I have Transformers Red, because I've enjoyed the cameos, and I have a feeling Soundwave's going to come back.
He did once
and
already.
Megatron. What's that?
He did once already.
Yeah, I think he's going to come back with a new body. There's been a toy release.
Ooh, interesting.
So, he's a truck.
No! Damn it. No truck. Make him a monkey.
No. And then Star Wars Rebels, which has been insanely great. And the nice part about that is they're Darth Maul's still in it.
Cool.
So they're leading. They had Ezra and Darth Maul do like a mind meld type thing with the Jedi and the Sith holocrons, where they merged them, and they each got a piece of the puzzle, and then they rejoined to do it again, and it basically brought them to the point of twin sons.
Oh boy.
Tatooine,
yeah.
And because Darth Maul has this vendetta against Obi-Wan, knows that Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. So I have a feeling Obi-Wan's going to show up in Rebels.
That'd be interesting.
Albeit briefly.
Ewan McGregor to do the voice again.
They probably will, because, well, they may not. They may get Arnold Taylor.
Yeah, James Arnold Taylor, yeah.
They might get him to do it again, because he's been doing it in the past on Clone Wars. So, and they had Leia show up at one point in Rebels and Lando. So I'm thinking we're going to see Obi-Wan show up in the show, which will be kind of nice. And I think that they'll end Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Unless they're playing the card that he's going to be Snoke, if they're going to play that card, because Rebels is canon.
Yeah. I made it through, I think, the first 10 episodes of season 1 of Rebels. I've just never gone back to it. I want to. And that's pretty much my response to all the Star Wars cartoons that have come out in the last 10 years or so. But I do want to go back and catch up on Rebels, and I will eventually. I got to find the time to do it.
It's really good, actually.
Oh, no, yeah, I know it is very good. I'm not saying it isn't, but it's... Rebels for Star Wars is like what Earth's Mightiest Heroes was for the Avengers for me. I still have not gone back and watched the Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers cartoon either, so it's a whole timing issue. But yeah, no, just everything I've seen out of Rebels looks absolutely amazing.
But yep. So those the cartoons.
All right, let's get into movies. Again, only movies I saw, so I have 8 instead of 10. So number 8, Star Trek Beyond. I saw this movie, but I don't remember a damn thing that happened in it.
It was the most original story that they could have had, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
And it takes place during the Federation War.
Oh, right.
Part of it. The villain is from the Federation War. I had to watch the movie twice to kind of get the gist of what was going on.
Yeah.
But it was... And I might as well get this out of the way now. It was my number 1.
Oh, God.
Just because we're bringing it up.
Okay.
What I enjoyed about it is you got the feel of Star Trek again.
Right.
With a little bit of a modern take, obviously. And then you've got, they're pulling from history because one of the fallen ships, because, again, they pulled the original Enterprise being destroyed and Enterprise A rising, being built. Just like Star Trek 3 and 4 in that sense. But they had them commandeer an old ship from before the NX-01, so before Star Trek Enterprise took place.
Oh, wow.
It's one of the prototype ships from before that, during the war, and this was one of the remaining ships, and the Enterprise crew with Jayla fixed the ship.
Wow.
And it's been hollow emitters like all over it, protecting it for years, so the bad guys didn't know where it was, even though it was their ship originally. And so they were able to take out the villains, and then so it was kind of nice in that regard. So I mean, it was a nice nod.
Yeah. Number 7 for me is Suicide Squad. I enjoyed Suicide Squad. It was probably the first Will Smith movie I've enjoyed in the last 10 years. I mainly enjoyed Suicide Squad for the Batfleck cameo and the Joker and Harley thing. The rest of it, the ending was a little stupid, but I enjoy Suicide Squad overall as a movie better than BVS. So BVS is not even anywhere on my list. Number 6, TMNT 2. It was better than TMNT 1. Bebop and Rocksteady stole the show. Absolutely love that. Number 5, I put Zootopia. I wasn't sure what I was going to expect out of Zootopia other than seeing the constant trailers with its stupid sloth character, but it works and it whatever. And I really dug Zootopia. I thought it was fun. Number 4 is the Mark with a Mouth Deadpool. I've seen Deadpool so many times because Jen loves that movie, and I enjoy it too. I think it's a really, really fun comic book film. I'm really surprised that it actually got made because most of these companies that are not Marvel, some of them don't know how to make a good comic book movie. Number 3 is Bourne, Jason Bourne. I really did enjoy it. I'm glad Matt Damon's back in the role. A lot of action, a lot of interest, a lot of intrigue. I'm glad that they did not have to put it at... My biggest complaint with Legacy was they tried to place it at the same time as the events of Ultimatum, and that's why I hated Legacy. But with Bourne, I'm glad that they kept it in its own thing, and I thought it was a very natural story for the character and for the franchise. Number 2 is Now You See Me 2. I love the first film. I very much enjoyed the second film. I know there are rumors or news stories somewhere that they have plans for a third one, but after the second one, I almost think they don't need a third one. But I really did enjoy it. And number 1, for me, best superhero movie of the year, Captain America Civil War. Right before we recorded this, just finished rewatching Civil War because it's now on Netflix and just absolutely enjoyed the hell out of that movie. What about you? What are your top 10 movies for the year?
I have Jason Bourne as my number 10.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it, but he didn't have enough dialogue. It was like watching a Bourne movie with, Matt Damon in it, but not really saying much. Which was fine. I mean, I expected that, but I didn't. I thought that there could have been a little bit more in what they were doing, but and then they had Nikki get killed.
Yeah.
And then Now You See Me 2 was my other movie because I liked the first one, and then the second one kind of enlightened and grew the world more, and showed everyone their true potential, and then kind of left it open for a third.
Yeah.
I put God's Not Dead 2 on there just because I've been watching some of those type movies, and what's funny is like Kevin Sorbo is like in a lot of these religious movies now.
Just wait.
Surprisingly.
Just wait, folks. Mel Gibson is going to get him for The Passion of the Christ 2.
And then I put Captain America Civil War for obvious reasons. BVS, I enjoyed it more only for the fact that it's Batman, and then the fact that I'm just kind of some of the Marvel stuff. I mean, I almost gave Captain America the lead up because of Spider-Man.
Right, yeah.
But I don't like angsty Marvel. I like fun Marvel, and Marvel's gotten too dark. And so, like, in that regard, like, DC I expect to be dark. Yeah. Marvel, not so much.
Yeah.
And then I put Deadpool, obvious reasons. Hacksaw Ridge, it's another quasi-religious, but it's also a true story.
Cool.
Takes place during World War II. The conscientious objector, Desmond Doss, because he's Seventh-day Adventist, doesn't want to hold a gun. So they let him go into the battle without it, and then he ends up saving like close to 100 people on his own.
Very cool.
And then my number 3 is Sully, another true story. Takes place during it was like a few years ago, it was like 2-3 years ago, where the pilot crashed in the bay by New York, and they said that he should have made it back to the runway, but there was no possible way he could have made it to the runway without crashing and killing everybody on the ship. So he made it into the bay, and nobody would died. So yeah. Then I have Rogue One, obvious reasons, even though it's like a prequel to Episode 4, like directly butting up against Episode 4. The saving grace for it for me is the end, and it makes Vader that much more of a substantial villain going into Episode 4.
Oh, that's cool.
Like hardcore substantial. So that was probably one of the best scenes in the whole movie. And you get to see the Death Star, obviously, and then Star Trek Beyond, my number one. So.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, folks. I watch more TV now than I do movies. I will catch movies and things like that, and I don't know. So we got, what is it, favorite moments and epic fails of the year? So let's see, favorite moments, obviously me being out here in California with my fiance, that's probably my favorite moment of the year. I have really enjoyed a lot of the screwed up podcasting sessions I've had, because it just frustrates the hell out of me when I screw something up or when something doesn't get recorded and whatever else. And the whole time Optimus Soul and I recorded 2 or 3 episodes in a row of the Myths of Etheria show, part of Powers of Grayskull, we had some awesome outtakes from him. Like stuff I've never heard him say before, and sadly it's all lost now. What about you? Favorite moments of the year before we get to the epic fails?
Probably getting the new job.
Yeah, that's awesome for you.
So, really excited about that. And then some of the changes going into the new year with that. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, epic fails. I wasn't sure. It's very rare that when we do these year-end shows that I have stuff written down throughout the year of an epic fail, but this year the epic fail kind of comes right on the heels of New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve 2016, New Year's Day 2017, because as of this recording, right before, I saw a news article on Facebook saying that apparently Betty White needs to be saved from 2016. Oh my God! Some of these people.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I just saw that.
So what this is, folks, is apparently some guy, some stranger, not even her publicist or anybody. Betty White must be protected from 2016, so this man started a campaign. Somebody started a GoFundMe to save Betty White from dying. Like, it doesn't even say if she's ill or anything else. I don't know.
She's not. He just wants money.
Huh?
It's not. She's not. He just wanted money.
Yeah. See, look, folks, I've started, fundraising campaigns and things like that for myself since my mom died and things like that, but that's because my mom actually died. I would never start something like this just because I want money. That's just stupid as hell. That has to be the worst fail of the year. But do you have any for yourself?
Yeah, there's a lot of fails this year.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, between like social media and the level of stupidity on the media's behalf, fake news, like just, I don't know, the internet is just full of retard this year.
Yeah.
There's just no other, there's just no other way around saying it.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Shall we get into the 2017 plans then?
Sure.
All right. So, Steve and I both. God, how am I edit this shit? Shut up. trying to figure out how to say this. As the co-creators of the GCRN, Steve and I have been working our asses off along with everyone else that we, have here at the network, Optimus Solo, Movie Revolt, and everybody that has worked with us over the last 7.5, 8 years. We've been working our asses off, folks, and up until about a year and a half ago, I was pretty much taking care of my mom and everything else, really had no real semblance of a life. Well, now that's obviously changed. I'm engaged to be married and everything else, and eventually I'll be moving out here to California, and supposedly that's supposed to happen at some point in 2017. As I said at the beginning of this episode, my goal for 2017 when it comes to podcasting is do a lot of pre-production and get everything ready to go in case, I go on vacation again or whatever else and things like that. But my ultimate goal eventually is to be out here in California with Jen, and then 2018, we have not set this in stone yet, but supposedly 2018 we'll be walking down the aisle at some point, which I have to fly Steve out to California to be my best man. So there's that. So that's going on there personally for me. So when it comes to podcasting, I don't know right now what's going to happen. I know we've got certain things that we want to do, certain things that we're going to get planned. As Steve said at the beginning, we're not doing the awards right away because of things going on with his end that he'll talk about in a moment. But I know that I want to do more Tooncast Beyonds. I know that I'm going to be bringing M-Wire back probably on a monthly basis, maybe. I know we're going to, like I said, we're going to release the Mission Impossible episode with Doug and myself and that and whatever else. The pull bag, again, I've bought comics once in 2016 twice. Between January and June, I bought comics once in February around my birthday this year. From June to about October, I had not bought any comics on Comixology. So I still have comics on there that we can review and talk about and whatever else, but it's not that I'm losing interest in doing the pullback. It's just I've been doing so much this year that I had to kind of cut that back just a little bit. Steve and I will be doing more All Things Transformers. We will be doing more Origins. We will be doing more regular episodes. We're going to announce here now that any and all Transformers review podcasts that you guys have heard us advertising for the past 4 or 5 years, like the TFG2 podcast or the Transformers Primetime podcast, I had talked to Steve earlier before I went on vacation about folding those into basically just making them banners under ATTF. So the Transformers review podcast will happen eventually. They're just not going to happen as a separate feed. They will be on All Things Transformers. Let's see what else. Hopefully myself, Steve, and maybe if she wants to, his wife Mary will be doing the Podcaster Meets World thing this year. Again, it's all going to depend on what Steve and I in our real lives are actually doing or where we are. So, yeah, what have you got going on?
I want to attempt to do the Cyber Dragon Ball. Don't know if that's going to happen. Time will tell. We should be doing Podcaster Meets World.
Yep.
Like I said, Altered Geek will be moving to alteredgeek.com.
Right.
So there is that. Not sure what I'm going to do from there, but I'm working on a couple new things that I think could be interesting. And then, I can't really think of anything else, like, as far as, like, GCRN stuff's concerned, what we might have or might not have.
Yeah, it's all up in the air right now, folks, for what our content, what Steve and I's content is going to be. I will say, because they're not here and I have not received any replies on Facebook yet, I will say you guys can still listen to the Cinema Geeks and Talking in Circles. Cinema Geeks pretty much is our movie podcast, current, past movie podcast. They do everything: Optimus Solo, Movie Revolt, Hard Candy Mandy, all those guys over there, Fridley Scent. I know they've got their video game series going on as part of what they're doing, and they've got their regular episodes where they kind of recap the week and talk about movies that they've watched and things like that. Talking in Circles, that's a smorgasbord of stuff, folks. Go over there, listen to Dan, Chuck, and Greg. They're just amazing, so check them out as well. I will be, when I get home to Kentucky, I will be finishing up the production and editing and whatever else on the 25 Days to Gas Beyond Christmas. I'll get the Christmas special out for the Pogs episode and whatever else and all that stuff. So, yeah, 2017, folks, you're going to have content from GCRN, but it's going to be sporadic at best. So we're just telling you now because, like I said at the beginning of this, we've been doing this for 7.5, 8 years. I know, for the most part, our audience loves us. There's a few people that, wish we were dead and loving it, but, I know most of you that are listening to this enjoy what we do and support us in any way that you can, whether it's listening, whether it's commenting, if you donate, or if you don't donate, it doesn't matter to us. We're still going to do it because we still enjoy it, but because Steve and I have life changes that are going to be happening, he's actually, like me, I don't know when I'm moving, because I don't know how, I'm waiting for all that to take place and events to occur and things like that, but him, because of his job, Steve's moving to Texas. When are you moving to Texas? In March, April, May, June?
August.
There you go.
More so because of, I gotta sell my house first.
Right, yeah.
So that's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gist of it is I have to be down there to work, so
right. And that's going to be a whole new adventure for you because you've been living in Michigan your whole life.
Yep, I vacationed elsewhere, just never lived.
Oh, yeah, I understand you've vacationed elsewhere, but I'm saying that you've never actually lived in another state, right?
No.
Yeah. See? Yeah. So, again, we want to thank everybody who has listened to us this year. We want to thank everyone who's listened to us over the last 7.5, 8 years. We will have a lot more content coming. Just be patient with us, folks, please. Any final words you want to dole out there, Mr. Megatron?
No, just unleash the geek in you.
Absolutely. A couple of notes, folks. The voicemail line, because of holidays and whatever else, the voicemail line is now dead. I did not renew it this year. I will be renewing it. It'll be a different number next time I do a podcast. We've had that number for the entire run of the network, and I wish I could have kept it, but just financially couldn't do it. So the vacation, the trip, and having money to be on vacation was more important. So we will have a new voicemail number coming soon. Again, you can email us feedback@geekcastradio.com for any of the shows. Just put whatever show that you want to talk to in the subject line, and then write your email. Thank you to everyone who has interacted with us. It's been amazing, and we will still be giving you the geeky content we've always given you. So yeah, as Steve said, unleash the geek in you, and we will catch you next time.